we're living in a very powerful moment in the trajectory of human consciousness. There is a lot of benefit to how widely the medicine can be spreading now and how many lives can be touched by the medicine.
You are the healer and love is the medicine, which is the same thing that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. This is very empowering because when we are in a state of victimhood, we are disempowered and it's very difficult to create change. So for me, the whole idea of working with the plants is to go deeper in self-discovery, and the result of self-discovery is self-empowerment, right?
There's no magic button. The work is always ours, that we get incredibly supported on our path through this beautiful, beautiful medicine. However, our work of integration, containing these revelations and embodying, applying them in our lives is our practice.
Hello and welcome back to our podcast, and happy that you are here with us again. We have a beautiful new offering, a free download on our website, avatarhealingarts.com, 7 steps to find the right place for your journey. And this is everything I wish I would have known before I went to my first plant medicine ceremony, and all the wisdom that I gathered over the last 12 years. And I'm so excited to share this with you guys. It's absolutely free of charge. You can download it from my website. So if you're looking into the plant medicine path, then go to avatarhealingarts.com, join our community, and then you get the download link. So welcome to our guest, Maja. So nice to have you here, sister, today.
It's an honor to be here, Nina. Thank you so much.
And today we're going to talk more about this beautiful medicine from the Amazonas. The Google guides are not liking, the keywords that we are always using. So today we're going to try, to go around that. And you all know what we are talking about. Maja is a sweet sister of mine. She also lives here in Mexico. And I wanted her to come and share a little bit of her beautiful energy and her wisdom in this space. So it took us some time to organize this, but I'm just so happy that you are here, sister. And we always ask, the same question to start, which is what called you, to this path? Because when we come from the West, it's not like, oh, I was trained to be, working with medicine since I was a child, because that's what my father and grandfather did. So I think we all have an interesting story, and we always talk about specifically with this plant, to have a very strong calling, like an irresistible desire, to do this type of work. So how did that look like in your life? Like, when did that happen, and how was that experience for you?
Yes, like you say, a very different cultural context for many of us. I was born in Serbia. I spent the earlier part of my life migrating with my family between Serbia and the United Kingdom. So from a very early age, there was a channel of inquiry opened with regards to nature, nurture, cultural conditioning. I always also had a very deep connection with nature. I grew up in an urban environment, but always enjoyed being in rural environments. And there was always a deep connection with botany, with the plants, with nature in general. When we moved back to the UK the second time in my early teens, when I was 14, just after the NATO bombing of 99, I had a calling to start learning through the teacher plant. So it was this communion that started happening from this early desire. There was, even prior to that, I had quite a calling for introspective practices. Meditation entered my life when I was 12. I did yoga, and I did my first meditation course at the age of 12. So there was this quite innate desire to explore the internal landscape and to also connect with the plant kingdom. So these were the seeds germinating, so to speak. I then continued through my studies, through school, through university, to learn about different humanities, through psychology, through anthropology, sociology, through communication. So the academic route was also taking a path of learning about self-inquiry, learning about culture, learning about how we are encoded and how our perception is created, essentially. Coming out of university, I had a career in the live art, very much centered around music, which always had a very integral role in my life. In my late 20s, I had a calling to step away from a life that I enjoyed very much in the UK and a situation that was very beautiful. But there was this calling to travel through the Americas, to take a trip from Mexico to Argentina by land. And it was on this journey that I had these beautiful first encounters with medicines and traditions from the Amazon. They started a very deep and ongoing inquiry about everything that can be learned through this relationship between the vegetal and the human kingdom, which keeps on unfolding and growing. In 2014, my husband and I, through a trusted recommendation of a dear Peruvian friend, got connected with Maestro Hamilton Souther, who is a curandero of the Shipibo Conibo tribe based in Pauyan in the Ucayali region of Peru. We have spent the last 10 years dieting with him, receiving his beautiful wisdom, his beautiful transmission through this remarkable connection with the plants that him and his lineage hold. Yes, it's an ongoing exploration, it's an ongoing learning, but that's a summary of where it germinated from and how it unfolded.
Thank you so much. Wow, I have so many questions. I think, we all remember our first experience, our first ceremony. Like, how was that experience for you? Was it some kind of instant recognition or familiarity, or you were like, okay, I was looking for something and now I found it and this is it, or this was something that gradually pulled you deeper and deeper as you went along on this path? Or what were the first kind of messages or insights that you received through this experience that you can remember?
So my very first meeting with the medicine was actually a very gentle opening. It was one of these circumstances where it is a gentle opening. So the first circle, the first ceremony with the Guarani tribe was just this subtle communion. And the following encounters, the following experiences brought very profound experiences. Above all, supported me in tapping into the healing potential that these incredible plants, when carried in a good way, can have. So coming out of these ceremonial spaces, there was a lot of revelation about my own life, my purpose, my relations, my relationship to the world around us, this recognition that we are part of something very interconnected, interwoven, reciprocal. So yes, those were the first gift, so to speak, of the medicine that then continued to unfold and develop.
I remember, that for me, before I went to the medicine, I also had deep, introspection and exploration of just, my inner world, so to say. And I believe, a lot of things that are like spiritual concepts maybe today, and that resonated with me. But when I first started to sit with the medicine, that was like an experience and like an affirmation of a lot of things that I kind of resonated but didn't fully experience or understand. And that was for me such a turning point, because before there was always some kind of self-doubt around, what I'm thinking and how I'm experiencing things and questioning myself. And then, after this experience, I knew, like, beyond the shadow of a doubt that these things are real, and they exist, and I am part of that, and all these kind of things. So, that was the main reason why I was like, wow, this is a whole new level of of learning for me, and that was like something that really motivated me to go deeper. But also, like, I had like personal challenges that I shared in other episodes, that I was specifically like working on and struggling with, that I received a lot of information about that, and that led me to resolve, a couple of things that I was really struggling. Like, did you have something personal that you can share with our audience, that, for example, okay, this was one of the problem, I had, and then I got this understanding or insights, and then I managed to shift that so people can understand, like what kind of changes we are talking about.
For me in particular, I feel there was, and there continues to be, quite a broad showing of a full spectrum of where things can be optimized and how we can continue to work on the ways that we relate, how we can have more compassion in our relations, in how we were brought up, in how we bring up children or relate to our community, to our partner, everyone around us, essentially, how we can take responsibility over the narratives that we create over our own lives. I think for me, this has been a very supportive and important teaching with the medicine, this realization that we are the ones who are responsible for our own healing. And we have these incredible tools. We have this great blessing to have access to these remarkable modalities to support us in having broadened perspective, to seeing our blind spots, to seeing things that might not be as apparent, or that we might shy away from and not really have the volition to lean into. So this beautiful awareness of us being active participants, the most active participants in our own healing, that this is also very relevant when we're looking at transgenerational information, transgenerational trauma, and also all the good things that come transgenerationally. So how we can change patterns, how we can change certain blueprints in how we were conditioned, how we were brought up, how we were taught to relate to the world, and appropriate and make that appropriate to this ever evolving world that is going through so much change, and that is requiring very fast evolution and adaptation of our consciousness, so that we can stay in harmony and reciprocity with everything that's unfolding around us.
Wow, such a beautiful way that you are expressing it. I'm always talking about that. The big part for me is like the practical implementation, of the teachings, right? That's what I'm passionate about. I always was very practical, like, how does this translate to your life? And, people are more aware of this integration process and the deep inner work they have to do to actually embody and integrate those experiences. So, you mentioned a couple of things. First of all, that we are the healers, and that's kind of my tagline, that you are the healer and love is the medicine, which is the same thing that you mentioned. And this is very empowering, right? Because when we are in a state of victimhood, we are disempowered, and it's very difficult to create change. So for me, the whole idea of working with the plants is to go deeper in self-discovery, and the result of self-discovery is self-empowerment, right? It's like, remembering important things that help you to look at the world in a different way. So, one of the big things that a lot of people experience is, right, through the plants, is this sense of interconnectedness, this unity consciousness, how you are part of something bigger, and like how everything is like perfectly orchestrated, right, in a way. What does that mean to translate this into everyday life experiences? So you said, you left behind a life that you were living, and the way you lived your life, and maybe the way you looked at yourself and your life. And now you have a completely different life, which I'm a little bit familiar with, in this new, beautiful, sacred space that you created. So, can you share with people, how does that look like when you have this awareness? How does that translate? What are the things that you did, that you changed in your life, and say, now I live this way because this is more in alignment to that truth, that I'm aware of? Because, I think it's sometimes people, it's hard to grasp, like how how this will change my life, what will be different, like how this trans.
Absolutely. I think this is a really important piece, and thank you for talking into it. When we show up for our healing, when we hear the call to go deeper with our personal work, with our exploration of the self, of our consciousness, it's very helpful for us to be ready to release what is not in alignment with the path that we are walking on and the refinement that we are making as we continue to journey through life, as we continue to evolve and optimize the way in which we can move through the world to live in more happiness and more connection. So something that's very common with this work is that we might notice that certain situations, certain places where we put our energy, sometimes certain company that we keep, that different scenarios might be ready to fall away, to be something that we shed and that we give gratitude to, as well as the stories that we need to be ready to shed. They can be often an attachment to stories which are related to our trauma, to our stories of victimhood. So there's a helpfulness to being able to release so that we can empty ourselves. One of the wonderful benefits of the medicine is this ability to empty us, to bring us to the origin, to bring us to something very simple. And from there, the expansion happens whilst also rooting at the same time. And another key, I believe, is practice, the practice of our life. People refer to a yoga practice, a meditation practice, whatever it is, and whichever form it takes, and however little it might be, having this practice of coming back to a place of center, coming back to an awareness that we are committed to, this optimization, this growth, this continued learning, and doing so with self-compassion, doing so with humility. And it might be a very small practice, a thought of gratitude when we wake up. These little practices, or practices however small or big they are, help us grow the awareness and notice when we are entering thought patterns and narratives which might not be serving us. And with that awareness, we can start changing, rewiring the way that we perceive the world.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And, all of this, I think, does have a very practical application in a way that a lot of people who I know who are on this path and committed to this path, they live different, that they lived, many years ago. For example, your awareness of connection with the earth. I know that a lot of people I know, they live in nature. They're very connected to nature. A lot of people grow their own food. They take care of a piece of land. They are so more mindful what they put in their physical body in terms of nourishment, also in terms of how you take care of the earth, in terms of, using water, creating trash, what you do with that, a lot of like practical things that like I never paid much attention before to a lot of things that I automatically did that was not in alignment, right, with this understanding. And then suddenly, I as it dropped down into like practical level, I started changing, my behavior and have different habits, that were more in alignment. And so I think one of the way that it changes is like how people live and how they relate to the earth and to food and nourishment and taking care of their body and the body of the earth, that becomes so much more pronounced. The other part of it is that people are more interested in, doing something that is meaningful for them, that fulfills them, and that is some kind of service to make the world a better place. While before, with my clients, I do this exercise at the beginning of the program that we look at their values and ethics and what they value, what are the most important things. And at the beginning, a lot of people is like success, money, status, like things like that. And we do the same thing at the end of the program. And like every time is like compassion, self-love, being kind, taking care. It's just such a drastic difference, and when you have such a shift in perspective inside of you, like you will behave different, and you don't want to do certain things anymore, and you want to do other things. And I know that in your life, it shows, like the space you created, the work you are doing, and everything is very much in alignment with this and translates into the physical level. And I think what most people struggle with is that, like, how do they translate that into physical? Because most people I know, including yourself, we left the environment where you were like, I'm not fitting here in anymore, right? I need to create like some space where I feel good. But it's even harder to translate it into behavior when you are in the same environment that is like not very much in alignment, with your new ideas. Like what do you think about this, or how does this look like in your life?
I feel it's a very natural progression, like you say, that when we start walking with the wisdom of the plant, the natural progression is that we get more connected to to everything around us, and remembering also that the majority, if not all of the traditions that have worked with these sacred medicines are animist traditions, where everything has a spirit around, where plants have spirits, where we are surrounded with a lot more life, and that this life is very, very sacred, a very sacred expression of the great mystery, whatever one chooses to name it. So this natural progression leads us to these aspirations and desires to service, to stewarding and stewardship of the land, to being guardians of the land, to having a healthy community surrounding us, and this remembrance of the tapestry that we form a part of, that everything that we do has its effect on the outside, however big or small it is. And I feel another key point is this beautiful aspect of the medicine to bring us closer to our purpose, to help us shed the stories which are not necessarily so relevant to our calling. There is one of the wonderful gifts of the medicine in my experience has been learning how much there is to be learned and learning how much there is to be unlearned as well. So this beautiful opportunity to reconstellate in a microcosmos, to look at the values that we have been brought up with, to look at socio-cultural stories that have been imprinted on us, and to assess them, to come to a place of authenticity, to come to a place of connection. Again, reconnecting, this power of reconnecting is not just to the world around us, it's a deep reconnection with our essence, with our authenticity, with why we are here and how we can express ourselves in ways that are helpful. So how can we walk in more beauty, and how can we create a world that is an expression and a celebration of that harmony, of that reciprocity, of that awakened consciousness?
Yes. So what is your vision for your future personally and for the collective? What is that vision that keeps you anchored and inspired and you're working toward?
There is certainly a deep desire to add a grain of sand to catalyze a process of learning, of healing, of supporting the community reciprocally, being in support of a community, of a humanity that is coming into a more sustainable place. So more of an awareness of reciprocity. I feel that as the years shift and as we continue to, as humanity, there's many things that are changing very quickly. So there is an aspiration to catalyze a process of reconnection with the earth, sustainability, so that we can continue to have this beautiful synergetic relationship between the human and the vegetal kingdom, this ancient relationship that so many cultures and traditions have preserved in such a beautiful way, where there can be this incredible alliance between the plant kingdom and the earth and the human species. So certainly a deep desire to support this ongoing relationship, reciprocal relationship of synergy and thriving, where we can continue to have clear waters, where we can continue to walk in this magnificent human experience and do so in a way that has a light footprint, where we can be creating a regenerative culture in our personal relationships as well, where we can have the awareness to repair the ruptures, which are part of the human experience, where we can take responsibility for the work that we are here to do, and do so with also compassion for ourselves and those around us. And through this shift in consciousness in relation to ourselves, in relation to our purpose, in relation to our community, to create a more harmonious and more sustainable world. And that may we all have that deeper connection with our purpose, so that we can shed any limiting beliefs that maybe get in the way of us showing up in the world and serving in the world in a way that can really support the future generations as well.
So beautiful. And as you said, there is many paths to go there, to go to the same place. There is other ways to know yourself and to step into your truth and to remember. For me, I have my own specific reasons why I'm, so committed, to the plants and to this particular plant ally, not in terms of comparing that this is better than other path, but more in terms of difference, or what is the uniqueness, with this particular plant spirit that you really feel, okay, that's why, I'm with this, because there's so many other ways to explore.
For me personally, it was a very deep resonance and connection with the plants and the traditions of the Amazon. And this beautiful maternal embrace, this deep and very clear guidance that can come through when the work is held in a good way. And also this wonderful medicine that comes through seeing our blind spots being shown very clearly. And this is a characteristic of this sacred plant in particular, the sacred brew, to be able to see our blind spots, to be able to see where we need to put more conscious effort, where we need to have a conversation, where we need to repair. I feel that that's an incredible property of this medicine, that we get to see our work in ways that are very clear, that can be very strong, and that can move us at the foundations, but in a way that is with a lot of love and with a lot of understanding. So it can be tough love, but it's always with a lot of purest intention.
Yeah, I think, like everybody says the same thing, who is, deeper on this, which is so beautiful. I feel always so affirmed, when other people come to the same place, right? And I think that's, for me, definitely number one reason to my devotion is to, healing, revisiting very painful things from the past. This is tough, it's hard, it's intense. And with this plant, I feel I am in this container, in this very feminine, loving, like as a mother would comfort a child, or soothe or teach, or it's just, it makes a whole load of difference for me, like going places. And that's why I think her capacity to bring us to the root of the problem, because we are able to open, because we feel that love, even in the intensity, and that guidance, and that, is just, for me, like that's something really unique and powerful.
Absolutely. It's such a powerful and beautiful aspect.
So, we are in the psychedelic renaissance, as they say it on the internet. What do you think about this whole, renewed research, legalization, like a renewal of old tradition? Well, not renewal, because they were there, we just didn't know about them, right? So, but, this whole process, so many people are getting interested, getting educated, getting called, to come into this different world. What is there anything you would like to say to those people who are at the beginning of their journey, and they feel taught you, like something that you wish you would have known when you started?
I feel that it's a very magnificent time, that we're living in a very powerful moment in the trajectory of human consciousness. And there is a lot of benefit to how widely the medicine can be spreading now, and how many lives can be touched by the medicine, supported by the medicine. We are also in a time where these traditions that have held medicines in very, very sacred way are in a great need of preservation in a very careful way. We have these incredible tools because for many thousands of years, these practices and these healing arts have been cultivated with great care and with great sanctity, with great reverence. So you mentioned at the start of this talk together that one of the gifts that you are offering is the questions to be asking. And I think it's an important, when we have a calling to work with sacred plants, with the sacred plant, taking the time necessary to make sure that we are doing so in the right setting, in the right container, and in the right intention, that we are with the guidance of curanderos, facilitators, who have an aligned path and a good alliance with the medicine, who are in spaces of deep integrity with the medicine, who have the appropriate training, which is often a training that happens over a long period of time, who are able, through their training and through their work, to contain all the many expressions of the healing that can come through these sacred plants, and that there is trust in the relationship, being aware of transference, being aware that from the medicine is where the healing comes through. And of course, this is hugely supported and catalyzed by the curandero, by the ícaros, by the chants, by all the different ways that the medicine can be supported in moving through and healing what needs to be healed and aligned in all of our bodies, our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies. But yes, choosing wisely, choosing carefully, taking time to make the right choice, making the offerings that we need to show up in our communion with the sacred plant in a good way, in a cleaning as much as we can, cleansing physically, cleansing and mentally, cleansing emotionally. Also being aware that there's no magic button, that the work is always ours, that we get incredibly supported on our paths, in our awareness through this beautiful, beautiful medicine. However, our work of integration, our work of holding up these frequencies, this resonance, these revelations, containing these revelations and embodying, applying them in our lives is our practice. So taking care with our integration processes, taking very good care with our processes of integration to help us ensure that what we learn doesn't stay in the ceremonial space, doesn't stay on our mat, but it comes into the world with us, and that this can be a process that we are reprogramming and decoding many transgenerational things, many very deep-seated, often sticky patterns and behaviors. So doing so with compassion and knowing that it's a path of healing, it's a path of self-exploration, it's a path of self-inquiry, of cultivating our consciousness and being compassionate with ourselves as we move through that process, and all those around us.
So beautifully said. And yeah, I know that you are, living up to all of those expectations by holding a beautiful space and supporting people on their plant medicine path and journey. So we're going to share your website and Instagram for people who feel the resonance with you and everything you shared, so they can connect you and explore your offerings. And yeah, thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom and your heart with us. It's so true what you're saying, that you have to approach, these powerful tools and allies with respect and care and responsible beautiful, sacred, preparation. So I know that it's hard to discern what is right, what is not right, for people who don't have any experience to compare it to, right? So that's why we created this ebook, 7 Steps to Choose the Right Place for Your Journey, to help you, at the beginning, to give you some ideas what to look out for, what to ask about, what to look into before you make a decision. So yeah, we're going to share that link to my website to download your free copy. And thank you so much, sister, coming today and sharing your heart and your gifts. And you are a gift to the world and to everybody. And so grateful to be connected to you. Thank you.
It's such an honor, Nina. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your path. Thank you for your service and the wonderful way in which you hold this work. And by doing so, take care of the community who have the gift of working with plants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for the next episode and for our new podcast, Self-Discovery Simplified, that is coming out soon. So subscribe and like this video, leave a comment, and see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this episode. Help us grow our community by sharing this episode with your friends and subscribe to our channel to receive the latest on ayahuasca-assisted therapy. To embark on your healing journey or to start a new career in psychedelic-assisted therapy, go to my website, avatarhealingarts.com, and get in touch. And of course, stay tuned for the next episode.